each little stumble kind of does. It not only builds a story and a picture, but it also gives us that moment of connection afterwards. So even if you don't have the awesome sexy times, you still reconnect and you still regroup, and that regrouping just makes you stronger.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their funny, sexy, and fascinating stories as they take us on their journey. We always strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy and positive approach to non-monogamy.
However, everyone approaches it a little differently. And at its core, our show is about hearing, highlighting, and learning from the different experiences and approaches people have. With that in mind, it is important to remember that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of our own.
So sit back, relax, and just accept the fact that your time with us will be spent in an awkward turmoil of laughter and arousal. We should also let you know that this podcast will hopefully include some explicit language.
If that kind of thing offends you, we suggest you keep listening until it no longer does. If you're under 18, you either need to stop listening or go get your parents and you can listen as a family. The choice is yours. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 18. Today we have a fun interview with the Bed Hoppers.
It is a super fun interview.
And we laugh a lot.
Yeah, and sorry about the fact that you can't understand most of what they're saying. That's not our fault. That's just they're hard to understand because they're British.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, that's a little bit harsh. They still speak English.
I know, it's sort of English. The Queen's English. No, we have a lot of fun with them, and we've actually become really good friends with them, so we wanted to say thank you to them for coming on the show, for having a good laugh. Also wanted to mention that I am laughing almost the entire episode. I'm a quiet laugher.
Yeah, you just can't hear you because you laugh silently somehow.
I've developed this skill over many years.
And now when you're on a podcast, you want no one to be able to hear you.
Well, anyway, also really quick update. Last week we told a rather long story about how we wound up getting a 15% off coupon for anybody who uses our link on our website or goes to www.stdtestexpress.com/normalizing. Now, if you do your online STD testing through them, you'll get 15% off at least through the end of the year, maybe longer, who knows. If you want to hear the full story of how that unfolded, it's about 3 minutes long. We told it at the beginning of last week's show. Anything else important? Maybe tell them our website.
Yeah, you can contact us at normalizingnonmonogamy.com. There's a link there.
Airplane. We're currently staying under an airport.
Yeah, we are right close to an airport right now.
Anyway, finish up.
You can find us at normalizingnonmonogamy.com. There's a link there. You can contact us, or you can find us on Twitter or Casty under the screen name NNM Podcast.
All right, let's go talk to some bed hoppers.
British bed hoppers.
All right, bye, guys.
You're right, it's awkward.
I know, I told you. We're not always this awkward. You want to try? No?
You told me you were going to do it.
All right.
I asked you while we were on taking a break.
Can we stop and fight for a little while, and then we'll jump into the interview?
Yeah.
It's really our thing.
I'll do it if you don't want to.
Nope, here we go. I got it. So thank you guys for coming on the show and tolerating our awkward beginnings. I was wondering, actually, could we get a Mr. H intro song, or is that just for your show?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
What do we want?
Yeah.
Ka-ching!
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's a very colorful ukulele.
Are you supposed to sing? You singing?
All right.
I think we're good. I think that's perfect.
Yeah. That's all I need. I don't need lyrics.
No, you don't need lyrics. Not where we're going.
Well, so for anybody who doesn't know who you guys are, do you mind introducing yourselves, telling everybody a little bit about you?
Cool. Okay. Well, we are the Bed Hoppers. We're from the UK. I'm Mr. H, and this is...
I'm Mrs. H.
We're getting so good at saying that now.
We are getting so good.
It's amazing. Go on then, tell everyone about us.
No, you do that.
What?
You are so much better at talking about us.
Well, we've been in the lifestyle for about 2 years.
Coming up to 2 years.
2 years, so we're swingers. So It's been an interesting ride. So we've been documenting and chronicling, big words altogether, our adventures in the lifestyle, giving people some hints and tips, and really just sort of talking about what we've been up to, I suppose.
Poking fun at you.
Poking fun at me.
A lot.
Yeah, it's broadly the Mr. H mistakes show while Mrs. H laughs at him.
Oh, wait. There'll be one episode which will all be about me and my faux pas.
Can we record that one soon? I'd really like that.
And
I'm on best behaviour.
And for anybody who's not aware, you guys have been drinking the last 2 hours because it's like midnight your time, and it's only like 6 o'clock our time, and we were just at a movie, so we're
5 past midnight here, yeah.
Mrs. H said 2 hours. It's really been since about 12 in the afternoon, and it's probably the cumulative effect of 12 hours of drinking.
No. We've had a few little cheeky vinos this evening.
Cheeky vinos.
Yeah.
Cheeky vinos.
Cheeky vinos.
excellent. Well,
I like that.
Excellent. Gin and tonics. It's
Yeah.
fine. We're good. We're lucid.
We're talkative.
Totally sober. I could absolutely drive right now. I can't back that up.
so how did you guys get into it to start with? Two
The
years
lifestyle
ago.
or the
Yeah.
podcast?
Oh, yeah.
No, the lifestyle. We don't care
lifestyle.
about the
Lifestyle.
podcast. We want to hear about the lifestyle.
You guys have been together for quite a while, correct?
Yeah. So-
18 years we've been together.
Yeah, not long past our 11-year anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. So we kind of, well, you brought it up, really.
I did.
You brought it up. And,
On holiday.
and Mr. H's brain kind of exploded and couldn't handle it, and then went into 6 months of research to try and get his head around it. I'm insanely jealous. You're quite bi.
Yeah,
and between
very.
us, that combination didn't quite lock up as well as we thought it might. But it took me a long time to get my head around it and get into that, that state of mind. I
But
think.
broadly speaking, yes, we were on a sunny holiday in the Canary Islands. We had a fun night out with a couple, and the girl made a
Hang on. Whoa. You said
no,
that
we
couple
did.
were swingers. You'd already labelled them
I
as swingers.
did.
Oh, like earlier in the trip or earlier in the night?
Yeah, earlier. Yeah, we'd seen them for a couple of days. They were at the pool, and he was massaging her. It was a topless place, which was wonderful. A topless pool, but he was massaging her like he was going to be following up with something at some point.
He was like a creepy yoga instructor or something.
But they, I mean, she was cracking. She looked lovely. She was really fit. He
was punching.
He was definitely punching. And Mrs. H was like, "Look at those guys." I mean, we when you go on holiday, she loves the looking around the pool and giving everyone characters and names. And these guys were the swingers. And you were joking that, oh my God, I bet they totally want to fuck us for some reason. I don't know why they'd want to fuck us, but we
hadn't even talked about anything.
Well, we hadn't. We'd watched a few episodes of polyamory and swing. But really, it was more entertainment. So the idea of entertaining ourselves as swingers hadn't really come into play.
And they were pretty much the only hot couple at the pool.
Yeah, apart from us.
Yeah,
right. And we had drinks with them, and they, she tried to.
She was quite friendly with both of us.
Yeah, she tried to snog me, and I rejected her advances. I rejected them.
So ethical.
I know, right?
And she made a pass at me, and he wandered over just as that happened, and then ensued a couple of hours of row with us, going, "Oh my God, you were going to kiss that woman." I'm like, well...
What do you mean you were going? She had her tongue down your throat.
Yeah, she did, yeah. She made a pass at me. So.
She made a pass, put you up against the wall. I was like, what the actual fuck? And the chaps she was with, it turns out they'd only been together a week, which is brilliant. And
they'd met on a mindfulness retreat.
Yeah, there's something quite magical about that. He'd never seen her drinking and was very apologetic. But then I think after she snogged you or pashed you or kissed you, whichever way, I never used kissing on. I can't stand that phrase. But after she did that, she pretty much passed out.
Yes, she did.
Yeah. And then we spent hours and hours and hours just arguing over it and bashing out what the hell it was. And then the whole idea and the concept of the lifestyle.
It's born.
Yeah.
And you went away and researched it all?
Yes, I went away and
decided that actually you'd be okay with having 2 women play with you. Oh my God, what
No, I didn't know that until that actually happened. I was still worried about that up until it happened.
Was it something on your behalf, Mrs. H, that you had thought about before that time, or was that sort of something that triggered it for you?
No, when I met Mr. H, so years and years ago, I did announce to him that I was bi.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was quite honest about that.
There was no way my brain could have comprehended that. That was something that Mr. H took out of his brain and emotioning that it was in my brain, took it and screwed it up and threw it away.
And to be fair, it didn't come up then for years because it didn't need to.
No.
You know, we were raising a family and what have you, so it it was one of those conversations we had at the very start and then did nothing with.
No.
Until years and years later, and then this holiday triggered it all.
Yeah. And then I researched a ton and listened to everything, read everything.
Yeah.
Right.
So every podcast, every book, every TV show, I just downloaded it and slowly but surely kind of got to understand why it might be quite interesting and why putting aside some minor jealousy might be to my benefit.
Yeah, we thought we could have some fun.
So was it something that initially you had started thinking about exploring so you could explore the bisexual half of your sexuality, or was that not necessarily part of it?
I don't think I thought beyond the fact that it could be fun for him to experience two of us having, being with you. That's kind of, I didn't ever really envisage, I don't think, it expanding to maybe full couple swaps. I don't know.
It's in your master plan where you're rubbing your hands together. First, we shall start with the single female. Then we shall move on to the couples. And then the 10 guy on Mrs. H thing will be quite productive.
Oh my God. That has escalated rapidly.
Well, in your head.
Put that one down.
Just 10. Today we're starting slowly.
I thought it could be fun since I'm bi, then it could be fun for him to join in with that and experience two women together.
But it's important to say I'm as jealous of you being with a guy as I am with you being with a woman.
Well, once you got over your kind of jealousy and you were like, yeah, we could try something.
Yeah, I mean, eventually you twisted my arm up and I was kind of like, okay. But I didn't know until we saw that happen.
Yeah, that's true.
I was very worried that I would flip. I totally
was worried too.
Yeah, and our unicorn didn't seem to be so worried. But I totally didn't know how I was going to react. And it was kind of like, actually, this isn't so bad after all. In fact, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was just baby steps.
Yeah, I was going to say, so what was the first, after you went back and did all the research, what was your first step actually meeting somebody else?
Well, we went on to, in the UK, we there's a website called Fab Swingers, which is the main one that seems to go around. And we set a profile up. And literally within minutes of being online and setting the profile up, a unicorn got in touch with us. So we was quite lucky. It's not happened to us really since then. No. And then we went and met her, and both of us, to be fair, shit ourselves. And I know it's a phrase we use a lot, but we were both so nervous, didn't know what was going to happen. Is she a serial killer? Is she going to be mental? All this stuff. What does this mean for our relationship?
Yeah, I think it was the relationship piece.
Yeah, I mean, we fought so hard to be together in the first place. We both come from very different places. It was a struggle for us to actually get together and stay together. And we've had lots of trials and tribulations just to get into that point. So we really place a lot of value on our relationship. It's and I know everybody does. I get that.
But for us to share that, it had to be the right thing.
Yeah, it did. So we kind of went on the site, met the unicorn, and dabbled with that a bit, and did that a couple of times. And I have a thing about fairness. Fairness is probably one of my greatest weaknesses and greatest strengths. And then I was like, and I know what she's going to say in a minute.
I'm not.
She's going to say,
hoist by your own petard.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to let you trip yourself out.
Thank you. But then I was like, well, why shouldn't we play with a couple? Because then you get entertained as much. Well, you do anyway with a single female, but it was fair. We're still not in that place where I'm quite in that single guy zone.
It's fine.
That's a little bit beyond the grown-up Mr. H. But I'm evolving. There's been occasions where that sort of happened. But it's not something that I'd necessarily want to seek out.
You wouldn't seek out, no.
No, I think that would freak me out still.
So leading up to that first meet, you said you went on and did a bunch of research. Did you guys continue the conversation and just kind of exploring how this would look and what you guys were going to look for, or was it sort of that one conversation at the on vacation and then came back, you did some research, and then it's a difficult one actually, because when we had that vacation or holiday as we would call it. We did that.
Yeah, use your.
Sorry, I'll speak better British.
Yeah.
God blimey, Governor! Why didn't you talk like us lot over here?
You gotta pick up your game, Finn.
I know.
So we came back from that holiday, and very sadly, I mean, we talked about this on my podcast. My mum was really ill, and eventually passed away. But she had cancer, and we had a long period of time where we had to travel every weekend for about 7 hours in the car, sort of getting there and back. So we had all this time
together,
just by ourselves in a car. And I learned two things. One, how to bring off Mrs. H in a car while I was still driving,
brilliant,
which is always a useful tool. So, in fact, she actually became conditioned to certain roads, and you'd kind of get to a certain motorway, and you could see that she'd start lifting her dress. I was like, holy fuck, it doesn't, just because I did it once or twice doesn't mean
it sound awful.
Yeah, but in the context of going to see my dying mother, it also puts it in a really bad light, I suppose.
You spun that in a really bad light.
But you enjoyed it. Anyway, so there was that, and plus we listened to lots of podcasts. We had lots of good conversations. And I think the thing is that we put ourselves in lots of different scenarios. How would we feel if we did this with a couple? How would we feel if we did this with a woman? And what would happen? And how would you go? And because of that scenario play and that approach, it really helped us.
We played out every possible scenario that could happen in those car journeys, couldn't we?
I do like to Batman things.
You do. So by the time it actually came around to doing something, we pretty much talked our way through what could happen, might happen, should happen, and what we do if any of those things happen.
It was like, when it actually came down to it, it was like a choose your adventure book.
Oh yeah, with the ending.
Yeah, you just turn to page 34 if you want to play with her breasts.
I remember those books. Yeah. They didn't end like that.
No. The last two pages were stuck together for some reason.
God, we promised you an entertaining interview.
Yeah, no, you haven't let us down so far.
No.
It hasn't been absolute rubbish. Is that better on the British?
Yeah, that's good. Rubbish.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you guys had a single female, which is obviously they call them unicorns for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
How did that work? And then have you guys progressed from there to other couples? And it sounds like maybe not quite single males yet.
No, not single males.
Yeah,
the unicorn was not yet.
Well, you have.
I have, but not. We haven't sought them out.
I will refer you to the evening of 3 Men in a Hot Tub.
Great rhyme. 3 Men in a Tub. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like it could be a movie.
Yeah. It was much better than 3 Men and a Baby. I can tell you that now. Quite different. So we played with the unicorn, and we just progressed, really. I think it kind of,
we were so amazed that we actually went through the unicorn thing and survived and found it good.
Yeah, it was sexy. I think
it's important for me that the actual idea was probably better than the execution. Yeah, that's fair. The actual situation itself, when it did happen, was all very exciting, but it was probably more the lead up and the expectation and the fantasy and the aftermath. It was probably more exciting than the actual event itself.
Okay.
Because the event itself was probably quite a bit clunky and nervous and
Yeah, I mean, just like anybody's first time doing this, right? I don't think that's...
Yeah.
That's fair.
But to be fair, she'd been in the lifestyle a little while.
Yeah, she had the benefit of having played with lots of couples, and she was really good with us. So
and she introduced us to a lot of different things and took us to a lot of clubs, a lot of parties. So it was quite a safe way of going, because if there's three of you, you've got your buddy, and she was very happy to drive, so we could have a drink or two, something that I'm becoming slightly famous for. And we kind of did that stuff together as a unit, and that was quite fun, because if any one of us wanted to escape, we only had to throw down our veto card or whatever.
Yeah, all three of us would look out for each other.
Yeah, and I think that led to some periods where that was a bit awkward, and we missed things that we wanted to stay for. But at the same point, she was equally very happy to take, to drag us out or to take us out and take us home when we needed to, which is cool.
And so from there, you guys, are you still with her, or have you guys parted ways and you've moved on to...
We have now parted ways, but we met up with her quite a few more times.
Yeah, so we had quite a lot of early adventures with her, and she goes on to the lifestyle for a period of time and then goes off and then sort of disappears. And I think she likes to come on, grab as many dicks as she can, and then get off. And but we still,
so
we
she
still have the odd message from her.
Yeah, herself, didn't she? But so we've seen her socially a few times, but we're grown up now on our own.
Yeah, I think
we spread our wings a bit, didn't we? And went, right, we're ready to venture out and cast the net into the couples territory.
Yeah, and I think that became a lot more interesting to us. Not to say that we'd turn down unicorns.
It was more interesting from a social perspective because we went into this wanting to make some good friendships as well. And we liked the dynamic, I think, of meeting couples and going out with them and making connections and having dinner and all the rest of it. And, if things didn't end up with a pants off scenario, then it doesn't matter. We've all had a great night. Yeah. It's a bit more limiting, I think, when you're just with one woman and, whilst you can socialise, the three of you are like, okay, a couple is a better dynamic, I think.
Maybe a tribe of women.
I don't want to take a tribe of women to dinner. What do you think of that?
That'd be amazing.
But no single men for you, Mrs. H. He gets a whole tribe.
Don't spoil her. Make the tribe as well.
Yeah, just a harem of women all like feeding them. Weird enough.
So has the couple dynamic seemed to be more what you guys have been searching out then since that point?
Yeah, it's led to some really great relationships, like friendships generally.
Yeah, I think some of the people that we've met within the lifestyle have become our best friends, and we talk to them every single day.
And we meet up with them regularly, so we've made some fantastic friendships.
And those guys, whatever the family crisis or whatever happens, they're there for us, which has been really cool. And there's some friends that aren't quite to that level, but for us, the couple interaction, the fact that you get to meet this couple, you get to see how they interact with each other, you get to see their dynamic, hear their journey. That's always really fun. And I think if you can understand a couple really well, then you can learn a lot from them as well. So I really like just hearing people's stories. It doesn't have to be the lifestyle, but just how do they get together, what they've been through, what
it's nice to see a couple together and know that they've gone on a journey and had a relationship and they're happy and secure and they're not
and see how they interact with each other too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just really nice to see other people just as much in love with each other as we are.
Yeah,
right.
I like that. Yeah,
it's cool. I kind of like that sort of that. Well, you do it as well. When you go to a club and you spot couples and you're trying to put who's with who together and their interactions and
I do.
And probably give them nicknames.
Oh, God.
Probably
I give everyone nicknames.
You do. You're terrible at that.
I don't know what that feels like at all to get a nickname from somebody in the UK.
Okay, we'll come up with a good one for you soon.
So for anybody listening, Mrs. H thinks that I am Ross from Friends.
Yes.
Could you be any more like Ross from Friends?
Yeah, totally.
To be fair, you've gotten that a lot of your life.
Yeah, I've been getting that since 5th grade, so I'm used to it by now.
I'm really very perceptive. Spotted that straight away.
I will point out that the camera we're using isn't HD though, so that may well be what's causing it. It might just you don't really look like Ross at all.
Yeah, he does.
Shh.
That's perfect.
All right, well, back to the show.
I know you've talked about jealousy on your podcast as well, but I wanted to, I guess, ask you to expand a little bit on how you have dealt with that since you brought it up. It has been an issue for you. If you had any tips or anything for people who have experienced that.
Ooh.
Well, Mr. H is generally the one who will struggle with the jealousy. Yeah, it's true.
It's true.
But you know that.
I know.
So because you know that, you're prepared for it.
Yeah.
And you've explored every avenue and you know how to deal with those things that you know will trigger that.
Well,
for me, it was an unknown.
It was an unknown. But the way I deal with it is to think through everything that could possibly happen, Batman my way through life, and understand how I'd feel in different scenarios. And we
talk it through.
Yeah, and talk it through and learn about it. So it's kind of, how does a party work? How does a whatever work? What can go wrong? What are the things that people learn? And then just try and knowledge my way through it, like a video game cheat sheet.
But we also set boundaries in advance about what we'd be happy with each other doing.
But that's the whole context of what can you do and what can happen. But it's where people try and break those rules with you that you get a bit upset. But
it's those unknown factors.
It was very much an unknown and not knowing how. So
it was an emotional response for me.
It was
a totally emotional stimulus that caused it. It wasn't necessarily something that happened that I hadn't foreseen. It was more me reacting to an emotional situation that developed in front of me. And
she played with my Transformers. That's what it was.
And I didn't know how to cope with that.
So it was Mr. H having. It wasn't a sexual thing. It was. It was purely on like the attention, emotional side of things.
It's a kind of aftermath. Him having a bit of a cuddle. It was a cuddle.
Of all things that I've been accused of, having a cuddle.
Because I hadn't foreseen that ever coming up in any of our interactions. Because I think cuddles are intimate and they're ours. And whilst we share intimate moments with other people, I don't think cuddles were ever kind of in my own agenda.
Right.
Because they're ours.
To be fair, I was flipping knackered. I put in a really good effort in.
There was a lot of context around
and
that.
I couldn't move from where I was. I was just like a swaddling walrus.
The context there is it was 4 a.m. We were super tired, but the night had clearly wound up and we were going to wait for a taxi. And at that point, it was clear that you were sleepy, and for you, it was like a natural reaction to be cuddled by a nice lady that's just had sex with you. But for me, I was like, no. I want that cuddle now. That's not something I kind of.
But kick her in the face saying this is Sparta was probably not the way to go about solving that issue.
No, I felt jealous.
Oh, I know you did.
That's what I felt, and I'm not used to that.
And that's why you called the cab, and we got out of there within about 3 minutes.
But I recognised how I was starting to feel.
And I hadn't even got the baby wipes out yet.
Oh, God. And I didn't want to cause a scene. I didn't want to talk about it then. I just knew that was kind of where my mind was going. And it was nothing anyone had done wrong. It was purely an emotional reaction to something I hadn't thought about.
So to get used to this concept, I've just been going around cuddling everybody. And it's really difficult trying to get random women in the street to cut my balls for a couple of minutes, but I'm trying.
So has it come up again, or have you guys just avoided it?
No, we haven't avoided it, and it hasn't come up again. But we talked about what we could have done differently, and I know what we could have. What contributed it a little bit was the fact that the dynamic of the room was set out so that it was on two beds. So that didn't help because we were separated as couples. We like to play generally in the same area, on the same bed if we can. We like to be able to go plonk, touch each other, and had we all been in one place, it wouldn't have really happened because I would have gravitated to him anyway afterwards. There just wasn't room where this all kind of finished, really. So next time, if that ever happened, I think I would know to intervene a bit earlier and not just sit there and worry about it. Right. Because ultimately, I could have just popped over there and jumped in the middle of you and gone, "Hey, I want to cuddle." Or you use your special Mr. H whistle to pull me back. But when you're tired and it's late and you just think. Your kind of emotions kick in and they take over. I do wonder about this lateness that always occurs with the lifestyle. Do you guys get that as well, where everyone is up till redonkulous o'clock? Because no one seems to be able to start anything before 11. I don't know why. No,
people show up to places at 11 o'clock and you're like, why are we not showing up at 9 o'clock?
Well, actually, to be fair, we do have a couple of friends who they will play and be done by 12 o'clock on the dot.
I don't know how they do that.
And it's just so refreshing. We're like in the taxi on the way home, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? How is this night progressed so quickly? Yeah,
wow.
It's like bang, 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 not literally. And like, there you go, guys. And that includes like going for a curry or something.
They've been doing that like years. I reckon they just know how to move
They are
along.
smooth criminals, I tell you.
We just get caught up in that. Oh, I don't know how to start this, or what should we just have another chat, another drink, and it just before you know it, it's.
Hang on, you know how to start it.
Midnight.
You start it with the click of the fingers.
I can, but again, everyone needs to get to the same point as me.
That's your secret weapon. Mrs. H has a habit of just clicking her fingers. You just take your top off. You go over there and start doing that with him. And for some reason, it just works. People just start doing it. They start disrobing.
Because people need a bit of direction eventually.
Oh, I know, but maybe if you did that 2 hours earlier.
I'll try it.
That's
9 o'clock.
There you go. Yeah, start doing that at 7, and everyone will be done by 9:30.
Yeah, the pizza will be arriving at 10. Everyone goes home at 11. It's like a perfect night.
I know. I'll try it, shall I? I'll just start it all off a bit.
I think people are naturally anxious a lot of times in those situations, and even though you want to be there, you want to do things, it's awkward to try to get things started once in a while. So you need that person to just be like, okay, we're doing this now, and then just get the ball rolling, and people usually follow.
Right.
Yeah. These 4 a.m. finishes are just not good.
Have you guys ever used the naked man trick where someone goes to the bathroom and everyone's like, let's just get naked and wait for them? Have you ever tried that?
It happened to me once at a party when everybody decided that they were going to go downstairs at the house party. And I was like, okay, I'll be right down. I got to use the bathroom. And I went and peed. And I was only like a minute behind everybody. And literally by the time I got there, like everybody was in like full blown orgy already, like paired up in like the bed. And I was like, what the fuck happened? Like I've been gone for like 30 seconds and everybody was like, like just took everything off, jumped on the bed and started going at it. And I was like, Jesus. And so I got stuck on the perimeter for a little while.
You worked your way in.
But anyway,
the bathroom visit is always a treacherous moment, though. The amount of things that can happen in that bathroom visit is quite.
You resent it, like, oh god, I don't want to leave now. What's going to happen if I go?
But we've met couples that have needed to go after like 5 minutes. God. It's like
it's beer. It's the beer.
Is that you? Is that somebody's pointing to themselves there?
Really?
We're not going to reveal which one of you is doing that.
Once you break
it's Ross.
Should I start calling you that from now on?
No. So I was.
He any more like Ross?
So I was curious. It sounded like when you guys started this, you thought that Mr. H was going to be the one having jealousy issues.
Yeah.
Has
that happened, or has it mostly just been the one cuddle issue?
Oh, yeah. I've thrown the towel in at least 3 times.
You have.
At least 3 times. I think sometimes it's how does the night go? And if it doesn't quite go how you want it to, or
how your pre-scenario went.
Yeah, I have a habit of not throwing my toys out of the pram, but getting a bit arsy about it, just to myself, rather than anyone else. I think there's also some, like, for example, like Mrs. H doesn't like sex to go on for a long period of time, right?
Oh, no.
So I am conditioned not to do that. So if I go on for the required Mrs. H period of time with my other partner, and her partner is going on for like 45 years, and I'm still looking at my watch 6 days later and it's still going on, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
I know she doesn't like that, yeah.
I know she doesn't like that. And also, like, it's like quite...
It makes you... It demasculates.
It just demasculates a bit.
Does,
so after that meet, I was like, what the bloody hell is going on here? This isn't like, normally she's just happy with this, and she seemed to be enjoying it, and it's fine. But
you're not going to turn around and say, hey, can you just wrap this up now? I'm bored.
Well, yeah, I mean, I couldn't play the countdown music, like, time's up, come on.
Countdown in America?
They might not know countdown in America, but it's a game show that has a timer, and it has a clock. I'm doing it with my hand.
It's really bad.
Yeah, and it does that moment. But it was that really unsettled me, actually, because I was like, well, the time factor. And to be fair, his other half was absolutely fine, and she was cool, and she'd had a great experience. But for me, I was like,
she was probably relieved that she wasn't on the receiving end of the 45-minute marathon.
Well, I know, but
what woman likes like pounding away for 45 minutes?
Some women do. Everyone's different, sweetheart. But that's the thing. You kind of get used to that, and then you're like, well, how does that make you feel? So I came out of that place and
tired,
and she's like, that was okay. That was a really fun night, and I'm like, never fucking doing this again. I hate this. I'm never going to be part of this lifestyle and throwing all my toys out the pram. Blah 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 blah. Like, and I was
like, did the lady you were with have fun?
And I was
several times. Yes, she did.
Yeah, I might have made her come a couple of times.
Well, there you go.
Kicking my feet along as I go. But you just don't. It's such a strange moment where you're like so used to this is what you do, and then that's what's happened. I'm like, oh my God. But as I've gone on a bit and sort of become more experienced, you sort of celebrate those differences. And if someone wants to do that with you for God knows that amount of time, if you don't tell them to stop, that's on your shoulders. And and you need to be able to say, is that everything you're going to do? Is this the end of the night now? Are we going to be here all night?
I'd really like a toasted sandwich now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a really good point, what you said there about celebrating the differences, because that's definitely a learning, something to learn in the lifestyle is that, having sex with other people, is that everyone does it a little differently. And those differences can be awesome and amazing. They can also be difficult to navigate sometimes, but it's part of the whole experience.
Yeah, and I think on top of that, there's going to be times where you see your partner do something with somebody else that you've tried to do with them, and they're like, no, I don't really want to do that. And you're like, okay. And then you see them doing it with somebody else, and they're loving it. And you're like, well, what the fuck? Like, there's been times where, we'll try to do something, and she'll be like, no, that doesn't feel good. That hurts. That doesn't do this. That doesn't do that. And then you see her doing that thing with somebody else, and you're like, well, wait a minute. I thought you didn't like that. But it's just... A
lot of it can be the night and the way you're feeling that day, too. Different things can feel good at different times. And
everyone's shaped a little different. Yeah. I mean, it's just... There's so much that goes into it that it's hard sometimes not to let that kind of fuck with your head, where you're like, wait a minute, that's our thing, or that's something I didn't think she liked, and all of a sudden she's going to town doing this. So, yeah, I think it's easy to let those things slip in.
We had an experience with a couple once where, and you called time on it halfway through, because he was talking to me constantly, the guy, and I was talking to him, and halfway through you grabbed me for a chat, and you were like, what the fuck are you two talking about? You don't talk during sex.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going on about? I said, nothing. I'm just telling him like what he can't do to me. In fact, and he's just saying my name a lot, which I'm not used to. You're like, oh, okay, all right. I'm like, there's nothing really going on, but I appreciate it's not something that we've done a lot of ourselves. So to see that, he was like, what?
Normally I just say my own name.
Or Geronimo.
Oh, Mr. H, you're the best. That's not you saying it, it's me.
I'm the bomb. But yeah, so that, again, that little tiny nuance of something a little bit different, where someone was like constantly talking in my ear, and you're like, what's he saying to you? I need to know. Like, we don't do this. Like, no, we don't. And we're not really saying a lot, but you didn't know that.
No, I didn't. Yeah. I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Part of the fun part is you can sometimes try something with somebody else that you didn't think you would like, and you love it, and you can bring that back to your partner and be like, hey, I didn't think I'd like this, and I tried it, and now it's awesome. So like, sometimes that happens too.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
So have you guys found ways to get through these things, and it sounds like you've grown from them, and potentially they're not huge explosions?
No, they're not. I mean, we always said we're not trying to patch anything up. We're trying to just enhance what we have. So there's never been anything that hasn't settled us so much that we know it's a kind of a deal breaker.
Yeah, and I think quite often we do. There's a couple of things we do. Is that if we've had a drink or two, we try not to discuss things, because we know that tends to lead to many problems that night. So it's best to leave it and pick it up.
It's never a productive conversation if you've had too much to drink. So we always know to reflect and then sleep on it and then talk about it in the morning.
And then podcast about it.
What?
We've always talked so much about things, and that's just what we do. And I think that when we don't talk about things, that's when things could be very wrong.
What's become quite interesting, though, is some couples that we've played with that have gone on to become really good friends, we've also talked to them about those problems. So, you know, it may have happened with them, but we're quite happy and comfortable having that chat with them and sort of having that four-way dynamic and going, actually, guys, this didn't quite work so well for us.
Yeah.
You know, I hope you don't mind, but this is, you know, we'd love to meet up with you again in future, but we just need to steer clear of doing that or making sure this. And that's been really productive as well. And, you know, people really appreciate us being honest and open and having those conversations.
I mean, kind of where I see it, what was the point of having these relations and sex with people if ultimately you're not going to go away with a level of enjoyment? And you don't want to be spending like your entire evening with someone for them not to be enjoying it because they couldn't tell you or talk to you about something. I'd much rather we all just said it, did it, you know, told each other what was on our mind, told us what worked for each other. What's the point? Otherwise you're just faking your way through it.
You say this, but you've not had the greatest run with the chaps, have you, to be fair?
Well, no, but I'm a special little biscuit.
I think it is interesting, though, how some guys respond to that. Some guys will step up to the plate and try and go, or some of them will just be like...
just assume they're just going to knock it out of the park, and it doesn't happen. And they're a bit like, oh, okay. So, I don't know. I've been quite honest with some of the guys, though, and said, that's not going to work.
There's nothing better than hearing Mrs. H say, no, that's not going to work. and then see a hand being moved in the corner of the room somewhere.
Well, what's the point? Expending all that energy doing something that's not working.
But it's interesting.
Have you guys, going into this, did you guys lay out sort of rules and boundaries, and here's what works for me, what works for you, and did you kind of tailor your rules to those things that you know work for you guys, and on top of it, have those things evolved as you guys moved through it the last 2 years?
I think they have a bit. Generally, our rules are that I'm allowed to do everything and you're allowed to do nothing.
No.
I think we started off with, well, we have progressed a bit. We started off very much with a unicorn, and it was only ever going to be single females. I think we've progressed to we have progressed to couples, and
obviously, and then we were only a soft swap, but now we full swap.
Yeah, with
the right people.
With the right people, I think we prefer to. Well, we are same room only.
Yeah.
We've established that we like to be within arm's reach of each other purely because we just like that level of intimacy, and if you can't grab each other, then it feels. Yeah. It doesn't feel like a shared experience quite so much.
Yeah, we don't want to be separated. That's just us, though.
That's just us. I think other rules, I mean, we save some things for ourselves, so anal's clearly on the table just for us.
I like the way you say it's on the table.
It's on the table just for us. It is. It's Anal Sunday tomorrow. Do you remember?
See, it's something I'm not going anywhere with anyone else but you.
I know.
It's off the cards. I wouldn't be comfortable with you doing that with someone else.
No, then that's fine. No. So we've kind of...
So that's a hard limit.
It is. It's ever so hard limit. So much innuendo, so little time. But we kind of gone through, and it's more play style, I think, than hard rules. And I think we kind of figured out that we like to be near each other. We like to interact with each other. We like to be able to, if one of us isn't happy, be able to support the other. Not that that's happened many times. Really? I think there's only really ever been one meet where one meet with play where we pulled the plug midway through.
Yeah, only one.
Yeah, and
that's pretty good.
And I pulled the plug. I was like,
no, did.
and called the taxi, and we departed. So, but you kind of learn,
which is hard to do, by the way.
Yeah,
very.
Yeah,
very hard.
It is, but equally, I think you're doing the right thing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And then they were there at a social the very next night at a big meet and greet event.
Yeah, but they were very professional.
It was totes orcs. Totes orcs. Really awkward.
Really awkward.
So I think we need to ask what happened that made you pull the plug. Otherwise, I won't sleep tonight.
You might not sleep tonight if we do tell you, but we're happy to tell you. So we were playing with this couple, and I think we've mentioned them on our podcast before.
very early on.
Very early on.
In our
so this may be a
journey.
bit of a trail for one of our forthcoming episodes. However, we played with them before, and they weren't our real cup of tea. They weren't as... we weren't particularly attracted to them.
There wasn't a massive amount of chemistry there, but it was early days in the whole thing, and we were like, okay, let's just find our feet a little bit and see how it goes.
See if it works. Mm-hmm. And we went back like
a second
absolute
time.
Idiots, because, you know, in your early days, you often do these things.
And to be fair, they were really lovely people.
And they were very nice people. And anyway, so we were playing the card game, the Adventures in Lifestyle or whatever it is card game that we got to think guys mention and
spin the bottle type things, and you know, like icebreakers to take clothes off.
So you'd done a lap dance for the guy.
Fucking blinding lap dance.
It was like down in Mexico you used. In fact, you insisted on using Down in Mexico from.
It was a really good song.
Death
anyway.
Proof. Yeah. Anyway, so that happened. She did that. It was brilliant. It was lovely. I enjoyed it very much. And
so did he.
And he did it very much. And the lady of this pair was just kind of rolling around the floor. And so
she just wasn't engaged.
She just no. And so we pulled out a card, and my card was do a sexy dance. So I did a fucking sexy dance. In fact, I did a comedic dance, as you guys might imagine from me. But it was pretty sexy, and I put a lot of effort in. But she could not have been less interested. And so I kind of you obviously you go into this and you place a value on yourself, and you also place a value, I suppose, on your play partners. It's kind of you know where are they in that thing? And I was kind of like,
you both need to make an effort. Right?
If everyone makes an effort, that's cool. And sometimes just making that effort can elevate people beyond where you initially feel about them. But she'd kind of gone into the negative effort zone and was just rolling around the floor like a fucking walrus, apologies for my language. And I just got to the point where I was like, well, she's making
you do all the work.
She's making me do all the work. And at this point, we were only soft swap. They really wanted to full swap. And we said no. And because we hadn't given in to that demand, she'd thrown her toys out the pram and wasn't interested.
She was
being bratty. Yeah. Why is it always so many fucking bratty women? I seem to find that.
She was very definitive about what she wanted from you, and you wouldn't deliver because why should you?
No, because that's not what we'd agreed.
No.
So I literally stood up, pulled my phone out.
No scene or anything. We just kind of like moved over to each other and let them play.
And then called
together,
a cab.
And then quietly called a cab while they were kind of together. And then we just disappeared quietly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then awkwardly saw them the next night. Brilliant.
Right. So it was just not meshing on the play styles or...
Yeah. I think they were very, very, very experienced. And they were very smooth with the way they handle stuff.
It was that whole divide and conquer routine, where they knew what they wanted, and they were very clever at separating us early on, and getting kind of what they wanted quite quickly. And we were like, oh my god, we were patting their hands a little bit, really.
But I wasn't comfortable, and so I just said, okay, well let's not do this.
Yeah.
And once you've done that once, it becomes a bit more like, actually, what's the worst that can happen? You know.
Yeah, we're not dating these people. We don't owe them something. I mean,
well, and you can be polite. You can be, and then polite.
Right. They did unfriend us, which was awkward.
Yeah.
Never like an unfriend.
Even though we didn't really want to stay friends.
No, we didn't. But it's not the point.
No one likes being unfriended.
Nobody loves an unfriending.
Right.
It's brutal.
So, being that sounds like a lot of the I don't know, weirdness or hiccups that you guys experienced were pretty early on. Is there any advice that you guys would go back and give yourselves now? Well, go back and give yourselves, your beginner selves that you know now that you've learned.
We talked about this the other day.
Yeah. There's a few things. Firstly, the end result, when it works, it's brilliant. It's amazing. The friends you'll meet, the people that you meet, the adventures you have, make it worthwhile. I mean, just like talking to you guys are fantastic. It's lovely being able to share this moment. And we're really proud to be able to do that. Oh, thank you. It's all been leading to this moment. Thank you so much.
We can turn the podcast off now. We got what we wanted. So.
No, I'm not going to start singing just yet. I'll say that for later. That, I think, had we suspected that it would be awesome, and we had an inkling that it would be cool. But so many of our early adventures were absolute mess ups that we threw the towel in so many times, and we took breaks and whatever. But had we known that it was going to be that good when it does work, we'd have been like, actually, that would have helped us. I think the other thing is to just not quite be so trusting with people, I think, and just question something. If it doesn't feel right to you,
then it probably isn't.
If someone's not showing you pictures of them as a couple, why is that? If it's just dick pics, then you know someone's attitude. And you kind of learn these things as you go along, but when you're in your early phase, you kind of like, this is the norm, isn't it? Okay, fine, we'll just roll with it. But it doesn't have to be that way.
No.
So,
and I think for me, it's, not that I would change anything necessarily about what we've done going back. It's more about just reading your partner's signals and being hyper aware of things if they're not.
Listen to what I'm saying.
There you go.
I now carry an alarm everywhere I go. It's like a bat signal.
There's a couple of times I think if we could have gone back, we probably would have just ended the night a lot sooner, because it's clearly dead in the water. There's no point wasting our time.
No one to abort.
No one to just like pull out and.
Yeah, and then you get home in the middle of the night and you're angry because you wasted your time.
Yeah.
Well, you don't owe them anything. They would do the same to you, I think. So,
well, I think
life's too short to spend time with people you don't really like.
But in a way, I kind of like those adventures because they give you a story, and sometimes those stories you get, and those are the ones that help you meet better people. So when you sat there and you tell them the story, and they go, bloody hell, we had something similar or something worse, and you trade war wounds. It's like Jaws, and you start getting your leg up on the table and showing them the bites and stuff.
Scar,
look at this scar.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But equally, life is too short to, waste your time spending time with people who don't really add any value.
No, that's true.
So we need to just get a little bit better sometimes, I think. It's just maybe.
And I think it's important too to say that you can get out of those situations tactfully and without severing all sorts. You don't have to be the people who get up and storm out, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's why we always carry smoke bombs now. We just throw them on the ground. We're out there like Batman ninjas.
I'm out.
Bed hoppers out, y'all.
So, I'm curious, what kept you guys going back or coming back to it? Is that, you had, a misstep here, a misstep there, a bad experience, and yet you kept coming back and coming back. Was there something, I guess, were you guys seeing benefits to your relationship that you're like, okay, it's worth it, we're growing so much together that it's worth this bad experience or that?
There's a couple of reasons why. Partly because we had some really good experiences in the middle of all these bad ones, which we haven't necessarily talked extensively about. So we did have enough good things happen as well that kind of offsets that. And I think we started talking about that a little bit in our recent podcast, didn't we? We started saying, actually, what's right about this? What's gone well for us? Let's be a bit quite uplifting and positive. And secondly...
Playboy Swing told us to.
So, there'd been some positive meets as well. So it wasn't all doom and gloom. It really wasn't. And what was the second point I was going to make?
I can't read your mind.
You should be able to. It's been 18 years. What kept us coming back, is, it actually has enhanced our relationship because we've learned so much about each other. We talk everything through and learn more and more and more each time we have these conversations.
Even the bad experiences, you kind of go, actually, why was that bad? And why is that relationship not working? And you kind of go, well, actually, we feel pretty good. We've got this fairly nailed down, and we're doing pretty well, and we will take what you have
what can we take from that and
not replicate that in the slightest, which is good.
Yeah, unless there's something different for you.
I think for me it's been each little stumble kind of does it not only builds a story and a picture, but it also gives us that moment of connection afterwards. So even if you don't have the awesome sexy times, you still reconnect and you still regroup, and that regrouping just makes you stronger, and your resolve becomes better as you go through that. And I really enjoy that part of it, that you've got that connection. Plus, there's something amazing about the fact that you're doing something adventurous that 99% of your friends wouldn't be able to do. And I don't like the swinger snobbery of our relationship is so much better than you guys or you guys because we're doing this. But to a certain extent, you do feel like
we're living our life to the full.
Yeah, and it's kind
we're having lots of fun.
There's something amazing about that when you can go, actually, we've got through all these tough, horrible, shitty little moments, and we're really good. So for me, that's why I keep going. It's kind of so even now, if there's a shitty meeting, trust, we still have them. There's still more stories to tell. You learn from them and you make them into entertaining podcasts instead.
I think they're fun.
I do.
Yeah. I was going to say, there was one story before we started recording. You said, I'll save that for the podcast. And now I don't remember what it was.
You guys won the exclusive. Cool. We can do that. So we had gone for what we'd call a social meet, just like a drink or two with a couple. And our rule is, I think we talked about it on the podcast before, but we prefer not to play on a first date. We like to get to know people first and then arrange a meet to do the sexy time business
and make sure
stuff.
We're both okay.
Yeah, and have that chat. And I think we've broken that rule a few times, but on this occasion we did not. We met them at a local sort of pub, and it was all very nice. And we found out while they're on the way there that they're not actually a couple, they're fuck buddies. And it always makes us a little bit worried because our experience of that previously has always been a bit mixed. We've got some really great friends who are friends with benefits and are almost like an old couple, but we also have met couples where it's just been an utter disaster. So we're already on edge, and Mrs. H disappears to the bathroom while we're waiting for them, and they rock up. So the picture of the woman, I think, if you guys have ever used a filter on a phone camera, and you've ever seen
soft focus,
like a beauty filter. That thing was at 150%. I don't know how she managed to crank this thing up beyond it, but she looked, in real life, she had what I would say is a tough paper round.
Yeah, her pictures were not representative of what she looked like.
And he looked like a normal guy. He was normal, but they'd come together as friends with benefits, which we found out just before we met them. So you were in the bathroom, and they were coming up the stairs. And if you've ever seen the Simon Pegg Spaced series, she was a bit like funny. Marsha. So she
was a drunken lush.
Yeah, a drunken lush.
Yeah,
but not in an attractive lush kind of way.
No. She was wearing Crocs. I swear she was wearing Crocs.
So,
it was.
There's nothing sexier than Crocs.
No, that's true.
There is not. No.
Especially if they got pins in the top that show the badges that you've collected.
I mean, I came out of the bathroom and they were in front of me, and I was walking behind, and I saw your face. I was like, "Oh God, no! It's too late to report."
I used the special veto password, which is actually me hitting Mrs. H's right leg and going, veto, 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 get the fuck out, veto, in front of them. It wasn't quite that bad, but we started talking to them, and they were quite entertaining in that kind of shambolic, where is this going to go? They were funny. She was rolling about all over the place. I don't think she was drunk, but she seemed like she was very drunk.
I'll be honest, I thought she'd had a stroke or something. She just sounded really odd from what be off. So she was slurring her words. And
she was necking back wine more than I did when we went to on our last podcast.
She was going, like, so a bottle of wine. Like, go on then, let's get through the night.
Yeah, but she was drinking the bottles of wine to herself. Yeah. So the bar closed within about an hour. It closed a lot earlier. So we said, okay, we'll go to
another bar.
Because the conversation was amusing us enough to warrant.
And we'd already decided amongst ourselves already. Well, nothing was going to happen.
Between us two, we decided that nothing was going to happen. So on the way over, we're chatting to the guy while the woman was sort of zigzagging her way across the road. And we're like, sorry, mate, it's just not going to happen. He's like, well, I've never seen her drunk before. This is...
I don't blame you.
I don't blame you. I don't know what's going to happen. So we go into this pub, and it's a proper spit and sawdust place. And about about half an hour of being there, that it's famous for the guy comes out with an acoustic guitar and he sings fun,
good songs.
Good songs.
Like
so he'll sing the Beatles and Yellow Submarine or Tub of Margarine.
He just sings some good songs.
And he'll sing Green Day and all sorts of fun things. And there's bunches and benches of tables. It's a very thin, long place. And everyone jumps on the benches and starts dancing.
Yeah.
So we're in there and this starts happening. So we have a couple of drinks and we're like, you know what? Fuck it. We'll just have a nice night.
We'll just have a nice, fun night and dance.
This woman disappears into the crowd. Now, it turns out that it's a beach party night, and they've actually chucked a ton of sand in this pub. They've just, chucked it in there. Everyone's running around in Hawaiian skirts and Hawaiian shirts and hats and stuff. And we move our way from table to table to table, dancing on it.
She comes back.
Well, she does come back. We get opposite the guitar player, and the guy's with us,
back.
and she pops up like a raptor out of the bushes in Jurassic Park. She has got a bandolier of vodka shots on her. Where the fuck she's got it, I don't know. She's got a whistle. She's got 3 glow sticks. She's got a hat. She's got a Hawaiian skirt.
A water pistol
filled with vodka. We're like, where the fuck have you got this?
She has been partying hard. So
she turns around, and I'm on the bench dancing, and she literally and she's on the floor, and she turns around and just bites me. Literally right in the gut. No warning.
Above your belly button.
Around the belly button region. We can show a picture on Twitter. Should we need?
We'll put a picture in the show notes.
Please do. And she literally bites it through my shirt. I'm not disrobed. There's been no sexy time instigation going on. We've made it very clear that that's not going to happen. Bites me and then disappears into the fucking crowd.
Yeah.
Like some sort of weird,
like a Muppet.
Like a Muppet, yeah. If you imagine how a rock run one. I'm doing the hand movement here that these guys can see, but you gentle listeners can't. But imagine me bouncing my hand up and down as though it was on a Muppet. That's what I'm doing. And she just disappeared into the crowd. And anyway, the night, sort of ended, a bit after that. And I'm sort of, in fact, Mrs. H was dealing with a medical emergency in the place.
Yeah.
You were a first aider and someone had hurt the shoulder. Anyway, we're sat outside chatting to the guy while the bar was emptying after sorting out this poor girl's shoulder or something. And this woman walks out with the crowd. And she sways and zigzags her way to us.
Still got all her party gear.
Electricals. And we are like, what the hell is going on? So we all getting our fuck on tonight?
She genuinely said that.
We are not. Like, why do you think this is happening? And she's like, turns to me, why are you sat on the floor? And I'm like, because you fucking bit me. And she's like, no, I didn't. And then saunters off into the door,
wherever,
up a road, with traffic going on, and disappears, never to be seen again.
Never saw her again.
So the next day we get a message from them on Kik, and the guy apologizes profusely. He says, I'm so sorry what happened last night. Never seen a drunk. I'm not associating myself with her. The account is busted. We're going to take that apart. We have a message from her.
Yeah.
How's it going? Are we going to meet up and have some sexy times? No, you bit me. Did I? Yes, here's a picture of what you did last night. No, I didn't. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, long story short.
She offered to buy you a bottle of Jack Daniels to say sorry.
It never fucking materialised. I didn't get my bottle of Jack.
No.
And not that I needed it after that. Anyway, so she then leaves the site and we never see them again. And that was my being bitten story.
Wow.
So and I bruised like an absolute peach. It's terrible. I marked really badly. So it looks like a vampire is taking a chunk out of me. So anyone that is fortunate enough to play with me.
But I was so shocked when I saw it a couple of days later.
It's a pretty aggressive bite. I mean, so what we will, with your permission, we'll put the picture in the show notes because I think anybody needs to see it. It's pretty fucking gross.
If you can just circle it so people know where to look.
Yeah, we'll make sure to highlight it.
It's not
so
obvious enough.
Of course, anyone that is desperate for a look at my chest gets a look at it as well. So 2 wins out of that. Really, I can't back that up. It's terrible. But yeah, that was one of our more interesting.
One of your more bitey meats.
Yeah, people are biting me. I don't know what it is. People keep doing it.
Oh, well.
No. It's okay when it's in the heat of passion. It's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Thanks for sharing that story.
So moving forward, how do you guys picture the next 2 years going? Do you think you'll continue to stay in this and grow in it and explore it, or are you feel like we're winding down and about ready to?
We've got fun stuff happening right up until the end of the year anyway.
Yep, totally.
So
we're going to Desire.
And that's at the end of the year.
Doing that, I think we've got a bunch of parties to go to over the next few weeks. That doesn't really join up the whole year, but it's a minor.
It's nothing at the moment. We're kind of like, no, we're done with this. It's still holding enough attention and intrigue and adventure for us, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I quite like the idea of building up a network of people that become more. So we've already sort of done that a bit, but more friends with benefits that we can, it's kind of like, hey, what are you guys doing? Yeah. Come around, let's have a barbecue and get our fuck on, and enjoy that sort of those sort of moments. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But if it does, fantastic.
Yeah.
But building the right sort of people, it takes us quite a lot of time. And I think we've got a few couples that we're quite happy with and that we see fairly regularly. But there's more to find out. I think that we want to explore clubs more because we're rubbish at clubs.
We are. We haven't been to many good ones, so we're going to one in a few months, I think.
Mid in a few months.
So
descriptive. In a few months.
No, we'd like to go to more clubs.
Yeah, there's that. House parties, but we're going to our first fairly soon. It'd be good to explore that bit. You never know, you may get your single male in the end of the day. I know. It's just I'm cloning myself. I'm just waiting for the clone to grow. At the moment, it's got tiny, arms and legs, Deadpool legs. Spoilers.
Deadpool legs.
He has his like little unicorn hands.
I know. There we go.
Yeah.
So he's not a fully grown clone yet,
right.
but it'd be like Austin Powers, literally. So I think we've got some pretty good things planned. I think we're still enjoying it. We're still having fun. The podcasting it's helped, and I think really focused us. So we love going on an adventure and then talking about it and discussing it and bring it up. And it does it focuses you up on what you enjoy and what you think about. And it doesn't, makes all those stupid meets worthwhile as well. So, if it does go wrong, it's like,
yeah. I wanted to ask, are you guys out to anybody? I think you mentioned you've told some of your friends.
So, so we've told some friends.
A small amount of trusted friends.
Yeah, the kids found out.
Yeah.
That was an interesting conversation.
You told your...
told my sister.
Yeah, told your sister.
And my sister told all of her friends. That was great. In fact, we got down to my sister's house and she had a collection of about 6 or 7 people all sat there waiting to hear the story of what we've been up to.
Like it was some sort of coronation party.
It was.
Put you on the spot.
So we got there and they are all, Mr. H is
outing.
So we had lots of questions from that. We've not told your parents or my dad, and I think that's probably going to stay that way.
Yeah.
Although I think there's always the fear that we're going to see my dad on a swinger site somewhere.
Have you had mostly positive reactions? I imagine the one with the kids was a little bit tricky, but from other people.
Yeah. The kids were tricky, and I think we're still in the middle of that zone.
Yeah.
Everyone else has been. Well, the funny thing is, we told our friends, and the first thing, without exception, they all say is, "Mr. H, are you okay? Is she making you do this?"
Oh dear.
And without fail, I get taken aside, and someone puts their arm around me. Are you okay? Are you sure you want to do this?
Like really? Like having some awful.
I'm a delicate flower. I need to be protected.
Well, I think that's interesting because I think every other person that we've ever talked to that has had that happen, it's always people are worried about the woman being coerced into it. So I guess that doesn't say a whole lot about you, Mr. H.
Whoa.
No, I just for real, I find that fascinating that they would assume that she's got you, forced into it.
They've known us for so many years, and I think they know how jealous he gets.
No.
Yes.
No. That's not why it is.
Why is it?
It's because they know what a floozy you are.
Outrageous.
I think generally, I think I tend to be the jealous one, and I do tend to be the one that worries the most. And I think people know that about me. And I tend to be a bit too caring. You're the emotional one. I am the emotional one. Mm-hmm. I'm the one that will cry at the Fox and the Hound and get upset. So people do worry, and but it is funny. They always assume, and quite rightfully, that it's Mrs. H that's asked, that's brought this up and put this on us. But I'm a very willing participant now, and I'm kind of. It's a fun adventure for both of us, and I think it takes people a little while to get that around their heads. People have had lots of questions, but just fun questions, really. I think more than anything, like how? What do you do? Does he sleep with the guys? Like, what? It's funny, isn't it? Well, we've had the keys in the bowl question a few times. Yeah, quite a lot. We've had the jealousy question. All the stereotype stuff. All that stuff. But it's, it's been interesting. It has. But I certainly am the one that everyone takes aside and sort of questions. No one's questioning. No one worries about you. Everyone's all right about you. They're like, you'll be fine. Yeah.
Well, I guess one of the last questions we like to ask people is, when you guys were getting into this, were there resources, or throughout your journey, have there been resources that you guys found particularly useful, whether it's podcasts, books, movies?
Besides, of course, your podcast.
And we'll definitely give you time to plug your show. So.
Thank you. There's been a ton, actually. So
for you,
for me,
because you know where to look. And you know what you're looking for.
Well, I think if you don't know what you want answers to, it's hard to find them in a way. Sometimes it can be. I think there's been a few things that have been really interesting. So the swing set stuff was really fascinating. The articles from the audiobook that Cooper did was really good and really helped us on our journey. I think the Curious Couple podcast, the We Got a Thing, Swinging Down Under, all helped us quite a bit because we listened to those together. That was quite interesting. Yeah. Once it tends to be that I'll listen to it, and then if it's good or not, I'll pass it on to Mrs. H, and that tends to work quite well. She Comes First, also a really good book, well worth reading. Okay. Definitely worth a look. There's a few other books, but I can't think of what they are off the top of my head. But we listened to a lot of stuff, read a lot of articles. Well, I did.
You did? The resource for me was you. It's true. I kind of relied on you to do what you needed to do to familiarise yourself and research things to the point where you were comfortable. And then I kind of fed from you what you needed me to know or talk about.
Yeah, I think I do sort of read that stuff and send it over to you. I think Reddit was really useful as well.
Oh, Ask Reddit or whatever. Yeah.
No, not Ask Jeeves.
That's not a thing. Ask Reddit.
It's Ask Jeeves. Dear Jeeves, how do you go about this lifestyle that I've heard about?
Take us back 20 years.
I think for women it's a little bit different because
women can listen to podcasts too.
No, I mean, women talk to their friends about fucking anything. Like, you name it, we'll go out for a drink and talk about it. Men don't. They just don't talk about shit like that. You don't. No. You don't have a kind of a readily available circle of men friends that you can all have like common conversations and interests. Not on a level that women do, I don't think.
I don't relate to that. I think I have conversations with my girlfriends that are different than Finn has with. You don't have a close group of guy friends you have that type of conversation with.
Just Chandler and Joey.
And Marcel.
Can I talk to you about myself? I'd be like, oh no. Whereas I will happily go and wax lyrical to my girlfriends all the time and talk about stuff, and they'll do the same with me. Men generally don't have those conversations as readily.
So were you having conversations about the lifestyle stuff with your friends before you guys got into it?
No, not before, no. Only once it all happened, really. And then I agreed I could tell a couple of them. And when we talked about it a lot.
So that was a valuable resource for you then, being able to bounce that off of people.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't kind of go about things in the same way as you do, I think.
But I think this is why the lifestyle has been one of the reasons why it's been so good for us, I think, as a couple, is that it does open you up to having those conversations with everybody and anybody, and you become much more relaxed about having not sexy conversations, but conversations about sex and conversations about what goes on. So you can lay those things up. But that's actually made me more confident about having those conversations with people day to day as well. So it's kind of even just regular friends I'm much more open about, and they're always a little bit freaked out when you start that. But once they realise,
so many people don't have good sex lives, and they don't know what to do about that.
No, that's true.
Which is quite sad. And I'm not saying they should join this and do this, and it's not like some cult thing. It's more a question of, why don't you just be honest and have conversations about things and improve your sex life?
It's true.
I think that's the biggest key for all of this, is having those conversations.
I think so.
Definitely. Although you saying it's a cult, I really, really want a secret handshake. I really want it to be like some sort of brilliant kind of arm behind your head, shake hand. It sounds a bit Masony.
Shaky hand gang.
Yeah, a little bit Masony, but that's fine. I can cope with that.
So I guess unless you guys have anything else you want to share with us or share with the listeners, maybe plug your show a little bit, and we'll bid you guys farewell.
Yeah, it's getting late there too.
Yeah, for us it's like 1:15 in the morning.
That's
Sorry to keep you up so late.
No, it's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
Plug away.
You want me to?
You plug. You know what you're doing.
Do I?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if anyone wants to listen to us, they can go and find us at Bedhoppers UK on Twitter. And from there, they should be able to get links to our show, download a podcast. No one can email us because we don't have an email yet, because that would involve replying to it. I'm notoriously bad at that.
Well, maybe that's what's next then.
Well, next, the future for the Bedhoppers will be an email. And in 6 months, we'll have carrier pigeon. Soon we'll be able to write letters. It'll be brilliant. But if you can communicate to us with the power of your mind, we'll be sure to answer that. Professor X style.
Okay. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, thank you guys for coming on and having a good laugh with us and sharing a little bit of the behind the scenes and some exclusive footage too.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome talking to you guys. Do we want a little exit jingle?
Oh yeah, we'll play us out, huh?
Yeah,
play you out. Okay, all right.
Hey. All right, guys. Thank you, and have a great evening.
Good night.
Good night.
Hi.
Good one.
Is that a good Ross?
Yeah.
Ross here.
People do call you Ross ever since you were little.
I know. Anyway, thank you to the Bedhoppers for coming on and talking with us. If you haven't listened to them yet, you're definitely going to want to listen to their show because it's a freaking riot.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And they have a lot of good insight, too. It's not just funny. They also have a lot of good stories, a lot of good, thoughts on the lifestyle.
And it's funny.
And it's funny.
In the meantime, next week, if you're not busy around the same time, you're going to want to listen to our interview we do with our couple, Eric and Catherine. They are a poly couple out of the East Coast who run a poly meetup group. So that's a pretty exciting interview. We had a lot of good details coming out of that one. Yes. And we will see you all in 1 week.
And don't forget, if you want to reach out, we'd love to hear from all of you. Our website is normalizingnonmonogamy.com.
You done?
Yes. Let's go.